Good evening, and welcome to this special report. Breaking news out of Washington. President Donald Trump has appointed conservative commentator Dan Bongino as the new Deputy Director of the FBI. Bongino, a former Secret Service agent turned media personality, steps into a role traditionally reserved for career FBI professionals. His appointment signals a significant shift in leadership dynamics within one of America's most critical law enforcement agencies. To understand the weight of this decision, we must first examine Bongino's background. A veteran of both law enforcement and political activism, he brings a unique blend of experience and controversy to the table. From 1997 to 1999, Bongino served as an officer with the New York Police Department before joining the U.S. Secret Service. There, he protected Presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama during his time in the Presidential Protective Division. But it wasn't just his work in uniform that defined him. After leaving government service, Bongino ventured into politics, running unsuccessfully for Congress 3 times between 2012 and 2016 in Maryland and Florida. While those campaigns didn't yield victories, they laid the groundwork for his rise as a prominent conservative voice, a trajectory that would eventually lead him to national radio and television platforms. Bongino gained widespread recognition hosting The Dan Bongino Show, a popular podcast where he championed pro-Trump messaging and critiqued progressive policies. He also co-hosted a weekend show on Fox News until earlier this year. Now, stepping away from media entirely, Bongino says he is ready to focus solely on his duties at the FBI. In a statement, he pledged to restore what he calls fairness, justice, law, and order across the nation. This appointment comes shortly after Kash Patel was confirmed as FBI director by a razor-thin Senate vote of 51 to 49. Together, these moves signal a dramatic reshaping of the Bureau under the current administration. Patel, like Bongino, is no stranger to controversy. As a former aide to Representative Devin Nunes, he played a key role in challenging the FBI's Russia investigation, a probe that once ensnared members of Trump's own team. With Patel now leading the FBI and Bongino serving as his second-in-command, critics worry about potential politicization of the agency. Supporters, however, argue the pair will bring much-needed reform to federal law enforcement. The Deputy Director position oversees daily operations of the FBI, managing thousands of agents and billions in resources. Traditionally, this role has been filled by seasoned Bureau veterans, not outsiders like Bongino. His selection has sparked intense debate among lawmakers, former officials, and the public alike. Some see it as a bold move to shake up a system they believe needs reform. Others view it as a threat to institutional integrity. Critics point to Bongino's lack of direct FBI experience, questioning whether he possesses the technical expertise required for such a demanding job. They also highlight past instances where he promoted misinformation online. Supporters counter that Bongino's outsider status could be an asset, bringing fresh perspectives to an organization often criticized for being too insular and resistant to change. Adding fuel to the fire, Patel has already outlined plans to restructure the Bureau. This includes relocating employees and shifting priorities back toward traditional crime-fighting efforts over broader national security concerns. For decades, the FBI has balanced its dual missions of combating domestic threats while addressing global challenges like terrorism and cybercrime. Critics fear Patel and Bongino may tilt the scales too far in one direction. Meanwhile, rank-and-file FBI agents are reportedly divided over the leadership changes. Some welcome the opportunity for reform, while others express unease about the growing influence of political appointees. One agent, speaking anonymously, described the atmosphere inside headquarters as tense, but cautiously optimistic. "We'll give them a chance," he said, "but there's definitely skepticism." Outside the Bureau, reactions have been predictably polarized. Republican leaders praise the appointments as necessary corrections to years of alleged bias against conservatives. Democrats, on the other hand, warn that installing politically aligned figures like Bongino risks undermining public trust in the FBI's impartiality and independence. Legal experts weigh in, too, noting that while presidents have wide latitude in selecting top officials, these choices carry long-term implications for how justice is administered in America. Some historians draw parallels to previous administrations that faced backlash for perceived attempts to politicize federal law enforcement. The comparisons underscore the delicate balance between politics and policing. Backlash aside, Bongino's supporters emphasize his commitment to transparency and accountability. They believe his outspoken nature will help root out corruption and inefficiencies within the system. Still, questions linger about how effectively Bongino can transition from punditry to policy implementation. Governing, after all, requires more than rhetoric. It demands results. As deputy director, Bongino will oversee everything from high-profile investigations to internal personnel decisions. Every action he takes will be scrutinized through a highly charged political lens. And let's not forget the timing of all this. With elections looming and tensions running high, the stakes couldn't be higher for an agency tasked with safeguarding democracy itself. In recent months, the FBI has faced mounting pressure to address issues ranging from election security to civil rights abuses. How Patel and Bongino navigate these challenges remains to be seen. One thing is certain, their tenure will shape not only the future of the FBI, but also the broader landscape of American governance and civic life. For now, eyes remain fixed on Washington as Dan Bongino assumes his historic post. Whether his appointment heralds a new era of reform or controversy depends largely on the choices made in the weeks and months ahead.